Okay, so I'm going to show you my questions and it kind of explain like the thinking behind them.
Okay.
Let's see. And I've gone through quite a few different iterations of questions.
Mhm.
So basically, because the whole point of the flip and fix group is to get people into the monthly membership group, you're basically, your whole goal for that group is to, number one, to find the people that are already Gabe's ideal clients.
Mhm.
And then number two would be the people that aren't the ideal clients, but are already that avatar, is to turn them into the ideal clients and to get them on board.
Right.
So what we want to do with the questions here is, before they even get into the group, to call the people that are already the ideal clients.
Mhm.
So that's specifically what we use these questions for. So like for this, it says this group's for experts, blah, 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 that want to scale their business. Where are you currently at? So we ask that question to see where they're at. And then where do you want to be 6 months from now? And then would you like us to reach out and see if we can help? Please share the best email. So, and I'm, in a second, I'll pull up my SOP. And what we do is we go through like a whole DM process with everybody that requests to join the group. Because really the quickest point from the free group to the paid coaching is to instantly identify who those people are that are the ideal client and get them booked for a call with Gabe and basically get them into the program. So even though this says share your best email, we reach out by DM and we have a whole sequence that I'll show you. But the email is like our plan B if they're not responding to the DMs.
Right.
Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is we're going to pull out those people who are already the ideal clients and get them filtered off into Calendly and set up with a call with Gabe, so that way they can get on board. And depending on where you guys are at, what that would mean right now would be like for my community, the way that it works is that someone who's in your same role is doing those DMs, because like it's all laid out with like exactly what you say for every single scenario. And then Gabe would be doing the phone calls, or if he's at that point where he's already got an SOP for the calls, then he can have someone else actually take the calls and talk to people and to do it that way. Let me show you what this looks like, and I can actually I'll give you a copy of our SOP here too.
So do you suggest we like basically copy paste and do the same questions?
Yes. Okay, so I can go back to that and show you before we go into the next thing. And there's one more thing I should show you before we move forward. Yeah, so basically, I think I already went over this with Gabe before, but this first sentence here is supposed to be Gabe's RMS, his marketing statement, like, who do you serve and what do you do for them? So that's the thing that he has to have identified, and he should, based on the stuff that I did with him before. So I'll give you this too. So like you were talking about, there's some foundational things that need to be fleshed out before you even move forward. So this is like a sample template of all the things that like you as a community manager need to know in order to be able to help the business owner to achieve their goals, because you have to know this information. So like, what's his mission? What's his, his bigger goal? And this is a sample from like an e-com community that was selling like a coaching program. What are the objectives? Like, does he want to get one new $2,000 a month, coaching client per week? And your goal is like 4 a month or whatever it is. But how are you guys going to measure that? And then also, what are the values for the community? And that's more of like, what does Gabe do different than other people, like differentiating himself? For instance, like I have another client that does stuff similar to Gabe, and like the way that we identified it is that like when he does his flips, that like, he puts care into like everything in the remodels. Things aren't slapped together, just trying to make a quick buck and all that sort of stuff. Like, what are the kind of values that people can identify with, that's going to make him stand out as being different,
Right.
So I'm going to put this in the chat for you if I can find the chat. Maybe I'll pop it in Facebook for you. So this is the template that I was showing you for, we call it like a community framework. And that you need that for every group. So like you would have one of those for the free group and one for the paid group too.
Okay.
And then let's see. So the next thing to talk about too is that I don't know if I really like this idea of like referrals and that whole sort of thing. Like that's really going to diminish the reach. Like, I mean, I feel like it's kind of contradictory to the idea of saying you no longer have to be, like a paid member or someone who's done something of Gabe's to get in there. If he's trying to increase the reach, I don't think the referral thing is necessary. And then like with those questions that I was just showing you, those are helpful because you'll see here when we go through this sequence that not only does it help you to identify like where people are at, like what their obstacles are and what their goals are. So basically like you can get them to sell themselves based on what their goal is, but then also like it gives him tons of data for like what you need for the content too. When they're like, oh, I'm here, but I want to be there. Like they'll tell you their life story about like why they're stuck, what the obstacles are, like that kind of stuff.
And I think his thought on the referral thing was that it would flesh out like random people basically. But I feel like if they're going to take the time to answer the questions, then they're probably genuinely.
Yeah. And like this thing we'll look at here will help with that because it goes through all the scenarios. So basically, we go into like every detail of admitting people into the group, like, what's our objective here? We use group funnels, which is, it's a software add-on that goes and takes those emails and then sends them right over to like our email provider. Okay. So we use that. And then let's see. Okay. So we go into like all the nuts and bolts of admitting people, you know, obviously oldest first. When we're going to approve people into the community, what we do is we go ahead and send them a friend request first. So I don't know how you're doing this with Gabe, like if you're doing it through your profile or you're doing it through his, but like my community manager does it through my profile, and then friends people first that have asked to join the community. And then once they get approved, then they get sent over to this welcome post here. And we have it identified with, you know, exactly what we say. So this welcome post, I think, is kind of one of the things that you were referencing to in your message of like exactly like what's that introductory stuff and like, you know, kind of how you get them going. And you can find that in my group here. And actually I'll give you the link for that right here.
Yeah, it would definitely be better if it came from him when he's like starting
Yes.
the DMs and stuff, because I feel like the whole reason people are joining is because of him, and or they think
exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Totally random to most of these people. They're like, who's this girl? So, you know, I think it has more impact if he's sending the DMs or friending people. And I mean, maybe I make a list of people who have joined and have him friend them all.
Well, so I guess the first question will be, you know, are you going to use his profile? Are you going to use yours? If you're going to use his profile, then you can move forward with everything as is. But if you use your profile, there's like a few other steps that you have to do. Like basically, you're going to have to identify, like on your own profile, that you're a team member for him, or you have to go ahead and create a separate profile that says like you're a team member, you know, for his business. And then, you know, put up some posts like in his community to basically showcase like who you are and how you work with them. Because you have to like you're saying, like people have to know who you are. So you have to gain some credibility and have them know that you're on his team if you're going to be acting as yourself. When you do those DMs.
I'm wondering if I could create like you use the term avatar, an account that's basically like, in more exciting terms, like the fix and flip assistant or something, because I don't.
Well, right. You could do that.
Or have the profile picture be like his fix and flip logo or something, so that I'm reaching out clearly from like fix and flip administrative versus me, some random woman.
Fix and flip team or something like that. You know, team fix and flip, and like kind of do it that way.
Yeah, because I mean, I just like
I'm messaging you on behalf of Gabe, blah blah blah. You know, I'm setting you up with a call with him, that kind of thing. So like they feel like there's some rapport from the start. If he's reticent to have you log in, there's advantages and disadvantages to him using your profile or his profile. So with this welcome post, like you want to have it set up so that this first part talks about like what that goal is for the community. So this part is going to be the same as like this kind of like mission here. And then you let them know that you'll be DMing them and give them that specific link for your Facebook Messenger. If it's you that's messaging him, if it says like Team Fix and Flip, then you're going to go ahead and put that link here.
And when and how do they get to this? I mean, I know it's pinned, but when you admit them to the group, do you DM them this welcome post or?
So what we do is we go ahead and we have a message here in the SOP that we paste into this, and we go ahead and I'll show you.
And is that in the discussion, the public discussion? Where you say welcome?
This is an announcement this is an announcement, and this one is pinned to the top. Your welcome should always be pinned.
Got it.
So yeah, so it says, not only do I have this as an announcement, but I have it as the very top announcement.
Okay.
So in this, we give them a special message here. And it says,
Public.
so
It's the public
basically,
announcement.
We send them a message and telling them like what the community is about, and then we say click here to see if I sent you a message, and we give them that direct link. So when they click this, it's going to send them right to the message that I sent to them. So if yours says Team Fix and Flip, it's going to go right to that message that's in their inbox.
Okay.
And so what you would do is I'll give you this link after to the SOP, but basically, you're friending the people, you're clicking on the welcome post, and you're gonna paste the statement. So basically what we have is different statements depending on how they answered the questions. If they said yes, they're okay with being contacted about help, or they didn't answer, then we use that message I showed you. In a very rare case where they say no, they don't want to be DM'd, then what we do is we still welcome them, but we give them the link to a case study from like one of our clients that's had success. And Gabe has plenty of like testimonials and things like that.
Right.
So you would basically link to that.
Okay.
And then what we do next is we tag people. Once they're in the group and we've put that welcome message there, we go ahead and tag them in a relevant post. So for instance, like if they said, let's just say for Gabe's group, if they said like, hey, I'm just getting started and I've never done a flip before. So then what you do is you go ahead and you tag them in the group on a specific post. Like say Gabe did a video in there for like 10 minutes, went live and talked about like, if you've never done any flips before, what are your steps as like a first timer? So what we have here with these docs is we have lists of all the URLs of the posts and the topics so that it's like super easy to find.
Okay.
And then like we do,
you kind of have something for every
right, for every scenario. Yeah. And then what happens is like with this, since you guys are like, since you'll just be getting started with this kind of thing, it's kind of like a living body where like you'll just, for now, you'd add the link and the topic, and then each time keep adding it so that it like builds on itself. And you're not trying to like instantly create this big thing out of thin air. You're just continually like adding to it. Then we go ahead and DM people, and the first thing is we let them know that we approve them into the group, and we ask, we say, I saw that you're trying to XYZ, wherever they want to be with their business in 6 months. And that's exactly what you guys want to ask as well. Like, where they want to be with their fix and flip business in 6 months. And then you ask, what's the biggest thing holding them back? Okay. And then
so in the first day, he's already getting like a ton of information on.
Well, right. So that's the thing. So like he could, the way that it works is like, we get tons of calls from people that haven't even made it into the group yet, or they've just gotten in the group. They've been in there for like a day or two, and you're getting, calls right away from that, so like the majority of what's happening in the group is more of like turning those people into the ideal clients. But the people that are already the ideal clients, you're going to get them on the call like right away. Right. So this goes through all the scenarios of like the different things, that you say is like you move through the questions and like, basically, you'll get to the point where you're going to ask them, if they, if they're opposed to you taking a look to see, if you guys would be a good fit to help them. If they say no, that's fine. But if they say yes, then you give them the link to an application and a link to go ahead and book a call. So like all the steps are like kind of in here of what to do. And it goes through all that. Yeah, so this doc kind of goes through all that as far as those things that like, the things that Gabe was worried about, with like making sure the right people come in. We do cover all this stuff in the doc as well, like, you know, how to figure out if someone that's messaging you is spammy, or if people request to join the group and they don't answer the questions, you send them a prompt saying, you know, it looks like you might have forgotten to answer the questions, you know, can I go through those with you now? And then you'll know pretty quickly whether they answer or not. And then we have all this, you'll see when you get this doc, like basically ways to know if they're legit, and you kind of want to customize this a little bit more yourself. So basically some of the biggest indicators that they're Gabe's avatar are like the groups in common. So they're gonna be part of like other flipping type groups and real estate groups and stuff like that. So you'll know pretty quickly that those are kind of like his target people when there's friends in common and groups in common. And then, you know, there's a whole list of like, you know, if they don't answer the questions and like how to identify if they're a spammer, you know, they're going to have one photo or no photos. You're not going to see any posts on their profile. So basically what my team does is like, if someone doesn't answer the questions, they'll go ahead and click on the profile and kind of look around a little bit to identify like if it's a spammer.
Right.
You know, so we have all that criteria here, because basically the way that it's probably going to work is like, you know, you'll be the one doing this stuff now, but like as things get busier, you guys might have someone else that's helping you. And then if you have a doc like this that has like all the specific instructions of exactly what they need to do, then you can trust them to go ahead and move forward with this stuff like without you. So yeah, so this doc was over all that stuff. What was the other thing you were asking? Oh, you were asking about the content. So that comes into that second goal that we were talking about with like turning people into the ideal clients. So the only things that, you know, Gabe should really be posting in the group are like videos and posts that give foundational information to turn people into the ideal client. So like if you were to look at my group, like in the group owner secrets one, you'll probably notice the trend like you were talking about, where there's testimonials. Some of them are just screenshots of like social proof of things on Facebook. Other ones are more formal ones. And then the actual content that's in there, it's framework content. So it's basic things that people need to know to get them to that level of knowledge so that they could do my program and they'd like have that information that they would need to like basically hit the ground running. So it would be the same thing for Gabe, where like, if someone was to start his monthly coaching, what things would make them be behind the curve where like they would have to kind of catch up, you know? So what I do is I have like 20 basic like framework type topics of like things they need to know. You know, so for me, it's like how to set up your group, how to attract the right people, how to do this, how to do that. So it's the same stuff for him, where it would be a matter of like explaining, you know, terms and ways of doing things and like basically getting them up to speed. So you're educating them and you're giving them value, but it's specifically for that purpose to kind of like mold them into that person who's going to be ready to come into your program.
Right.
So, so any posts that are content that would go into the group would be like what I call that core content that's supposed to elevate them up the value ladder. And then the same thing, anytime he's going to go live, it would be the same sort of stuff where it's just videos of that core content. And that anytime there's a video or content like that, it has to not just be like pointless value. The whole point, the point of it is that anytime that's done, it's meant to like get people to book a call. You know, so before people come into the group, we want them to book a call as they're getting approved. But once people are in the group, if he goes live or there's a post, it's all created with the intent to get people to book a call. So it should never be, hey, I willy-nilly just want to like talk about this random topic. You know what I mean? Like it should always be like something that's going to feed into why someone should join his program.
Okay.
Or it could also be if he was going to talk about like the success of one of his students or something like that, because the call to action would still be to book a call.
Right. And we can get to the whole calendar thing later, or this can be a segue into it, but we were thinking like one day a week can be a testimonial day, like Tuesday testimonial or something like that. One day a week could be sort of a member spotlight where we shine a light on somebody who's had success through his program in order to also like brag on his program, but feel like we're bragging on that person. And then I think one of the days of the week he was thinking he would do sort of like some personal content, like here's what I'm doing, here's what I just closed on, or here's a home that I'm in renovating like right now, sort of like real time what he's working on. Yeah. So that's as far as we've gotten on like weekly content. Yeah. And I would love to know, you know, your feedback on that. Or
yeah, I mean, it could be more frequent than that. Like as far as the testimonials, like we're always testing different things, but we're testing, you know, doing them like Monday through Friday with like the social proof. We're testing whenever people come into the paid program, doing that kind of spotlight thing where it's like, hey, we just welcomed so-and-so into the program. So you're basically showcasing the person who just became your paid coaching client. You're showcasing that in the free group. Also, in that paid group that people are in, you're going to want to schedule posts in there asking what people's wins are for the week, what their goals are for the week, because you want to kind of like pull testimonials and social proof out of those people that are already paying and kind of like encourage them to do that.
Hey, so can you give me 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. My son's crying. Give me 30 seconds. Okay, sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. So you were saying maybe pulling out wins from the paid group to sort of incentivize.
Yeah. Pull those wins
material.
From the paid group. If Gabe is posting content in other communities, which is something that I had asked him to do previously, like he should be showcasing his knowledge like in other real estate groups. If he is doing that, then one of the things that you would be doing would be going in there to search for testimonials and social proof that you can capture. So what we do is like the person who runs my community, we have like a spreadsheet with a list of the groups where I go ahead and post different valuable information. And then she'll go in there and click on my post and look at the comments. And people are like, oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. And we go ahead and take a screenshot of that. And then we log all those in Trello. So that way we have those and we can showcase them because they're really good, especially like, you know, with Gabe's funnel and stuff for the paid program, to actually put those like on the page for the funnel. We have those like all over the place. So you constantly want to be collecting those.
Are you saying you kind of keep a list of like your best posts, your best performing posts, or just what that content was about?
Well, we have the links for all the posts, but the specific purpose for this is to get screenshots and links for social proof, like when people say good things. So like if it's giving valuable information, like if he gives valuable information in the free group, or he gives valuable information in someone else's group, or his profile, that you want to have either a Trello board set up, or you want to have a folder in Google Drive where you're putting all those screenshots and you guys are collecting them, and that way they can get added to his funnel. And so that way you can schedule them for his group so that they'll run in there as well.
Okay. So in that case, we would be screenshotting like the really valuable, well-performing posts and post them in the fix and flip group and say,
in the free group, yeah.
The free
so
group, and say, here's the kind of content that
right. So
is going on in the paid group.
Yeah, there's
like a
there's
teaser.
a couple. Yeah, there's a couple different variations that you'll be collecting. So like, say you schedule some posts in the paid group and members are talking about their success, then your kind of text that you would use with that would be, like, look what our students are achieving, XYZ, and you have the screenshot.
Okay.
But if Gabe were to put like a really good video in the free group, or a nice post on his profile or something, and people are talking about how valuable and awesome it is, then like the kind of text you want to use is like, that people are loving your free content,
Yeah.
And that's only the tip of the iceberg compared to like what's in the paid program.
Right. Okay.
But the main thing that I would say is to stay focused in that free group on getting people to book a call when they first get approved. And if they didn't, to be kind of like elevating them to that point where they do book a call, and and Gabe can get on the phone with them, so that way they can get moved into the paid group. And that's happening by them seeing those testimonials from the current students, by Gabe giving that foundational information, by Gabe showing that he's like living and breathing every day what he teaches, and kind of really just focusing on that, and not making the mistake of trying to teach them too much, or to give them too many things, like really sticking with that foundational information that they need to get over the hump. Because what happens is, like, if you're introducing them to, it's not that you should withhold anything from them, because it's not that they can really do it on their own without your instruction. But if you're giving them too many different topics and like random like actions and tasks, they're going to get so bogged down because they're never really going to do all that stuff. So they're going to feel like, how can I justify jumping into the paid program when I haven't even done all these tasks that you've given me to do in the free group? You know what I mean? So like that foundational information. Also, if there are any actions associated with that, they need to be like easy wins. Like you're building their confidence and like moving them so they're ready. So never give them something that's hard. It's like a 6-month process. It's like quick little wins that they can get, so they can bolster their self-esteem and kind of be like moving along in how they feel about their progress.
So you're almost like grooming them, like you said, to become the right candidate, and getting them that confidence, sort of. Okay. What are your thoughts on doing like a contest or a big splash when he makes this public, like let's say we make it public tomorrow, not public, it'll still be private, but free. Let's say he makes it free tomorrow. He was thinking about having people do a contest of like who can bring in the most members, and he was going to do a giveaway for who brings in the most, but he wanted the referral thing because he wanted to know who brings in the most members so that he can track it. But do you think that's just pulling in too many random people that might not be the right
You can
audience?
make that work by having current members invite people, and then when you're doing the member approvals, it'll say who the person's invited by.
Okay.
And even after you approve them, it's still like when you click on them as a member, like it'll still say who they were invited by. So
okay.
That's fine. I would just say that it's important to put some thought into like what's this giveaway gonna be?
He was thinking like AirPods.
Yeah, I don't
AirPod
know.
Pros.
I'd have to think on that.
Yeah. Well, I said, what if you made the winner get like 1 month of your paid program or something? But
yeah,
some people are already also doing the paid program, and he also didn't want to like diminish the fact that some people are paying for it.
So what I would say is that I agree with your idea. I would the way that it works is like with churn, like if you give someone something for free and like they've done it, like a monthly membership for like 3 months, then you really reduce the chance that they're going to cancel. So I would give 90 days free scholarship, and like I would use that sort of language into the monthly coaching program.
Which would be, but that would be like a $6,000 value. So I don't know if he wants to do that much, I mean,
but it would be worth it because the chance that they're going to stay on and become a paid student is very high if you bring them in for 3 months like that. So this is a very creative sort of way to get another paying customer or a couple. And then also what would happen is if someone has already paid and is in there, then he would say that I'm going to extend the length of your membership at like the end, like to add another 3 months.
Got it. So if they paid for
a year, then he'll add 3 more months onto their term with him.
Okay.
There's value there, yeah. And try it that way. Yeah, I mean, really, this is kind of like a super creative way to get paid clients. So I mean, he could even run something like this like every month or every couple months and get people in.
Yeah.
Because once they've been in for a few months, like they're pretty close to guaranteed to turning into paid clients.
Right. He said he only has 4. I think he only has 4 people in the masterminds group. So, he wants to.
Yeah. So if that's the case,
build that up.
This is kind of a smart way to get people in there. Especially since we already know that people from the Flip and Fix group were ones that have like already done stuff with him or paid for something smaller. Those are like kind of the ideal people.
Right.
Get in there anyhow.
And I think it's hard. He's having a challenge getting people to sign up for the mastermind because the two groups were so different. It was like a $27 a month or $2,000 a month. So he was like, why would somebody pay $2,000 a month when they think they're getting like enough basic info on the now free page? Also, if someone like tags him in a question on the free page, then he answers. So he was like, I'm kind of doing this free like Q&A. How do I get those people to want to pay $2,000 a month, which is $24,000 a year, when they can like do a free Q&A whenever they want, basically.
Yeah, so what I would do in that case is, um, I would tell him that he doesn't have to stop doing those.
Hmm.
The way that, because I had a client who was having trouble with this too, and actually he was the real estate guy I was telling you. And the way that I told him is like, you think of it as um like your profile is like you give them some information.
Right.
The free group, you give them a little bit more because that's like your private free group. But then your paid group, it's like no holds bar, like you can give them everything. So it's almost like you want the profile and that private group to be like a teaser,
Hmm.
where if the person asks the question in the private group, he can go ahead and give like the very superficial kind of answer where it's like kind of the answer, but not like
Yeah.
it's what I guess what I told my client is you tell them the what, but you don't tell them the how. So you can tell
Right.
them what they need to do, but in the paid group, he tells them
You
how.
really hold their hand, and yeah, yeah.
So exactly how they do it. Because you can tell someone what to do, but if they don't know how to do it, then
Right.
it's not like they're gonna go anywhere with it.
Right.
And
Well,
that
and
would
I
be
was
a
like,
great way.
surely if these people are seeing, if you can try to highlight either testimonials or um, just people who are rocking it, if you can highlight them, then maybe people are going to go, oh, you know what, for 2000 a month, I could do that. And I could be making all
Mhm.
this more money. And he
Exactly.
said, he was like, I feel like I've kind of dropped the ball on testimonials because like I've had a few events with my clients and I forget to book a videographer. And I was like, well, I don't think you have
You
to have
don't
a
need to do
videographer.
that.
I said, you
Yeah.
could just send out a Google link and say, you know, your opinion is really important to me and I'm building my business. And could you write a short testimonial? I mean, that's something I could do. Like,
Yeah, you can follow up with people, but even what he could do is if he could pick a specific time each day or even once a week that he's willing to go live, he could basically do like a hot seat type of thing where someone from the free group asks him some questions and he can go ahead and answer, and he can bring them on live or he can just answer while he's live, and then he'll give them some helpful information. If they're on live, he'll get that testimonial right then when they're on. If they're not on live, then all you have to do is follow up with them right after.
yeah,
Say like, was this helpful for you? What did it teach you? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you can screenshot the answer.
yeah. Yeah, I think he probably has more opportunity to highlight what he's already done than
Mhm.
because he was like, I just feel like I've missed these opportunities or I've dropped the ball. And I was like, well, I don't think it's too late just because the moment has passed. Like,
Yeah, it's never
and I
too
think
late.
most people are, even if it's been a year, like they're willing to probably
Mhm.
write a little testimonial or just something.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to follow up with me, I can give you the link for my testimonial. We call it the $1,000,000 testimonial. Like, ask them specific questions. It's like,
Okay.
where were you before you started working with us? Where are you at now? Like, how has your life changed? I could ask them very specific questions to kind of like pull out the things that you
Okay.
really need to showcase.
Right.
And like you're saying, like, I mean, it kind of like, and at the same time, it kind of like makes them feel really good about themselves too, like
Totally.
where they are versus where they were.
Yeah.
Um, so the interesting thing about that could be that contacting some of those people that have already paid for like that event that Gabe did and all that stuff, it could bring back some of those feelings and talking about some of those accomplishments. It might even help to get some of the people to move over into that mastermind.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know? So that might be another avenue to go to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this gives us a lot to
Yeah, I mean,
start
it's gonna
with.
take a while to really
Right.
kinda just build up these things like bit by bit, you know?
Right. Because like
But
I have a page for my business, but I don't have a group for my
Mhm.
business. I mean, I've never really It all feels very like theoretical at
Mhm.
first, and then now seeing your notes and everything, I'm like, okay, this is much more
Yeah, there's like
step
a
by
plan
step
for everything.
strategy
It's
than
not random.
right.
The other thing that I would say too, that quickly before we hop off, since you're going to be building the testimonials and like building out that list of content, you can do engagement posts to get people like talking and interacting.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that you need to know, because so many people just do really, really random sort of engagement post to get people talking.
Hmm.
We do ours very strategically. So we, if you go back and start looking at some of the questions that I have, we base our questions on these people that are our avatar, and we're asking questions to put them in like the mental mindset of reaching that goal that we want to take them to. So like the goal that we're trying to achieve with them in our program, we want them thinking about that. When you're
Okay.
like asking about like, what would you like your business to be like in 6 months, or what are you gonna do, what are you gonna do for fun or whatever, like once you achieve XYZ goals, like putting them mentally into like achieving that thing that that we want to help them achieve.
Okay.
Then they don't all have to be super serious, like we alternate, so those ones are a little bit more strategic because they like help us and help them get into the right mindset. The ones that are more playful are based on things that they encounter that are like silly and fun and unique to people that are in real estate and do flipping. So you'd have to like talk it through with Gabe, or you'll start to like pick up on things that he says, like what are the things that are really annoying for them, things that they encounter, stuff like that, where you can kind of turn those into engagement posts.
I mean, could something playful be like, what's the craziest thing you've discovered in a house when you started flipping it, or just things like that, like kind of
Exactly.
get people to have
So
a
what you'd have to
funny
do,
conversation.
yeah. What you'd have to do is like have a conversation with Gabe and like kind of have him go down the rabbit hole of that kind of stuff. Like, what are
Right.
some of the weirdest things? Like, what's the weirdest thing you found inside of whatever,
Vacant
a
home or
rehab or something?
yeah.
Like, you have to use the terms that they use. So that's the most important thing too. Like, we'd even talk about that for your group with that framework. Like, what are the terms that you're using and like the lingo that's specific to their industry, because they need to feel like at home. So Gabe will be able to tell you, what those things are. And like I was just like, I said the word rehab and stuff like that. Like, how do they talk about it?
Right.
You can ask it the way that they would talk to each other about it. But that's a great one to start with, like what's the weirdest thing, you found inside of a place you just bought or whatever. And things like that. Or even stuff like, what's like the largest amount that you've gone over budget or something on a flip and fix or that kind of thing. I'm sure Gabe will be able to give you some ideas of like unique scenarios, but those things are a little bit more fun to get them kind of talking. The other thing too that we do that's important is like some of those engagement questions, you'll want them to tell you something that's like kind of like private or feels like kind of secret. Like you'll see in mine, like I've asked, like I'll say like, what's the weirdest XYZ, or whatever, or like even if it was like one fear you haven't told anybody or something like that. So like they're telling you something that's, they feel like it's kind of private, but the whole point is that you want them to feel like they're in like this family, like they're part of something. When they share something with you that they don't tell everybody, they're like, they're developing a relationship with you. like
Yeah.
that are kind of like, what's the biggest mistake you made with XYZ, or what's the weirdest whatever, or that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Gets them to kind of open up with things that really aren't that private, but it makes them kind of feel like they're part of something.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I think this gives us a lot to get started with. Do you do like social media calendar templates, or should I just kind of like peruse through what we just talked about and try to put together one thing a day to get us started? Like I said, a testimonial once a week, a member spotlight once a week, an engagement
Yeah,
post once a week.
I think
I mean, I
would
think
go
once a day is probably the most we'll accomplish getting
for now.
for
Yeah.
now.
Because like the way that I have it set up with like our list of daily actions for the community is like, we have several things that go up each day. So I
Yeah.
would start for now of rotating one thing each day.
Okay.
And then you could move to two, and so on.
Yeah.
The other thing too, quickly, is just that we found not to really worry about like the weekends. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to post like important content and things like that on the weekend. If anything, like we're letting the engagement post run through the course of the week, and like you can kind of comment on that over the weekend. And even if you can add fun memes, that's the other thing too right now, to really build up some engagement and people commenting. You could put all sorts of like flip and real estate memes and stuff like that. I'm sure you could find tons of fails. That would probably be the biggest thing that you could do to augment right now. That I would say, actually, that's a good point. Right now, I would say like every day you should put up some sort of like flip and fix fail.
Okay. Okay.
That's actually really good because that's 3 Fs.
Yeah.
So that's really good. If you had one of those every day, in addition to those other things you guys are working on, that'll get people commenting.
Okay.
And have a little fun and get them to play around while you're like kind of building up that other stuff.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, I think this gives us so 5 real things a week, and then 5 goofy memes every day, or
Yeah.
I mean weekly.
Yeah.
5 to 7. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for your help. We'll kind of get started, and then maybe we could do like a follow-up call as we're
just start building a little bit at a time. Like it's not going to all happen instantly, especially when you're trying to like collect testimonials and all that sort of stuff, or even
like there's a lot of background work to.
Yeah. And even with Gabe's content, what I would say too is that he's busy. So you're going to have a hard time pulling posts out of him. So what I would recommend is that you go ahead and make a list of like what the topics might be. And you can make that list by like searching in other flip and rehab type groups, of like you look at what the common topics are and what people are talking about. And then basically assign him to like go live and talk about that topic. And then all you have to do is use like Otter or one of the other transcript apps to go ahead and pull a transcript of his videos so that you can turn it into a post, and he won't have to write it. It'll just be like based on his video that he did. And then
so
him writing posts.
Use Otter to have him go live in the group, or just to make a post for me?
He'll go live and it'll be in the community, and you'll be able to go ahead and put those into the units as like that framework content. But then what you'll do is from that live video, you can get a transcript using Otter and use that for your post.
Okay. For like a future post?
Yeah.
Or just to have more content?
That'll be for your core content that we talked about, those 20 topics.
Okay.
Yeah, for that core content.
Got it. Okay. So it'll be a go live, like let's say we do a weekly go live, and then I'll kind of keep the transcript for
Right. You'll have the transcript and you'll edit that to turn that into a post. And then that's going to become part of that framework content that we talked about. And then once you're posting those, you're going to go ahead and put those links into your Excel sheet and use that for a reference for tagging people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, how do you get started with X? I'll say, oh, go back and you can check this post or this go live.
Exactly.
This video. Okay.
Yeah, it'll become one of your references that you're tagging people on. So that way you can get them to, move up the value ladder and basically book a call and join the other community.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, thank you for all your help. I'm going to kind of make notes and go through all this, and then you're going to send me the community framework.
Yeah, I sent you the framework, and I'll send you a copy of the whole DM SOP and all that.
Okay, awesome.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.